Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, The Moody Pages. I'm Chanel, your fellow mood reader, and today we're talking romance novels. If you told me a few years ago that I would be making a video about romance novels, I'd be shocked. I have predominantly been a fantasy reader growing up, and getting back into reading, getting more into fantasy. And then I found the ACOTAR series and I realized I like a little romance in my fantasy novels. And it's taken a few years, but I've slowly gone through almost every genre of romance, and there is something for everyone. There is something for everyone, okay? Okay, I have quite a handful of books here to recommend. If you are new to reading romance novels, I hope that this helps. I am very much a vibe reader and forget what I read like a few days later, if not the next day. So a lot of these I'm going to try and remember what I absolutely loved about them, but I know that these hand-picked, absolutely love, okay? I'm going to start with contemporary romance, and contemporary romance is kind of where I have my issues with. With contemporary romance, it's so real life coded. It's when the man has anger issues or has red flags and it's set in present day, I have issues because that's too real for me. I am reading to escape, not to see another man having a tantrum. One of the first romance books that I ever read was The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. Yep. So that I had to get a special edition of this. Oh my gosh, Kingsley. Hello. It is just so pretty. So what I remember, this girl, she is asked to go to a wedding that's out of the country. Okay, so she has a wedding to go to in Spain. She does not have a boyfriend. She does not have a fiance. She has no man. And she has to convince her family that she is dating someone, and she's not. So who is she gonna get? Well, she found someone. His name is Aaron, and he's going to come to Spain and be her +1. And again, I found through here that I really like the fake dating trope, where two people are trying to get people to believe that they're actually in love, and then they actually end up falling in love with each other. I'm a sucker for the trope. The next contemporary romance that I also realize I am absolutely in love with, oh hello, the lighting is like so wonky, is Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma. And first off, this got me because I'm like, you mean like Dating Dr. Phil? Dr. Dill is a TV show host, but he is a doctor, so it's all medical stuff. And this girl Karina, she ends up getting in a fight with Dr. Dill and it goes viral. If I remember right, they end up making like some type of treaty because she is trying to get this house from her grandparents or parents, and she has to get engaged in 4 months. So I'm pretty sure that her and Dr. Dill end up trying to make a deal to be in love. I just remember the banter, and I remember that the Dr. Dill was like one of my first book boyfriends. The spice in this was just everything that I didn't realize I needed. And this was, again, very early on into my romance reading era. This, hands down, I actually bought this physical copy so I can annotate it. I want to reread it again this year, so this is probably on my February TBR. But again, one of my favorite books ever. Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. Bury me with this book. I feel like Abby took bits and pieces of my life of when I was going through divorce and the feelings and emotions that come with post-divorce and finding love again. I was sobbing my eyes out, and oh my gosh, I'm ready to get emotional, but I remember he's my fiance at the time, he's now my husband, but just remember hugging him and just thanking him for helping me get through so many hurdles that I needed to get over for my divorce. And the main character's is a mom or dad in here is El Salvadorian. So she is half El Salvadorian and so am I. So that was really cool to read. So truly I feel like there's just bits and pieces of my life picked and written in this book, and if I were to be buried, I want to be cremated. Why am I talking about that? But this would be the book. Alright, rom-coms. Well, let's pick it up on a lighter note, okay? Rom-coms. Megan Quinn is the queen of rom-coms. This is Till Summer Do Us Part. I got this as an advanced reader copy, and oh my gosh, I was dying laughing. So she's working in this very positive, happy marriage environment, and she is not in a happy marriage at all. She's not in a marriage. Anyways, she's in a meeting with the boss and all the dudes, and one of the guys calls her out for not being in a relationship, something like that. And she's like, I am. We're just going through a divorce. And the boss calls her out. They go outside, and she's like, my husband is a marriage counselor, and he has helped all the people here. What time works for you guys to come to marriage counseling? And she's like, crap, trying to get herself out of it, but then ended up scheduling an appointment. And so now she has to find a fake guy to go to this counselor's office with. Her best friend has an attractive older brother, and he's rich, has nothing to do because he sold a company. He's pretty much retired at the ripe young age. I'm assuming early 20s, early 30s. Anyways, the guy also likes to take improv classes and treated this counseling session as if it was his improv class. So he signed them up for a summer camp retreat to help work on their marriage, even though they are not married and they are not dating. But he couldn't pass up the opportunity to work on his improv. So we get a whole book of just fun summer camp romance themed games that these couples are playing to help strengthen their relationships and be competitive with other couples. I was laughing quite a bit during this. Honestly, I have never not laughed in a Megan Quinn novel, and there is spicy scenes in here as well. So I'm also going to preface when there is spicy scenes in some of these books. Oh, I should probably, all of those that I've recommended so far to do. Anyways, highly recommend, absolutely love. I could go into so many books for fantasy romance, and to help narrow it down into something that's a lot more easy to digest, and that's not a long series, and that's not chunky either, I narrowed it down to The Veiled Kingdom by Holly Renee. And Holly Renee also writes other fantasy romance novels and other contemporary romance books as well, so you can check out her backlog of items. But The Veiled Kingdom is about this girl who is a princess, and her dad is so hateful of her because she does not have powers, and he does, the whole rest of the family does, the people who live there do, and she does not. Anyways, she runs away and she finds the people that are fighting a rebellion against her dad. She finds their camp and she wants in on them. She doesn't want to be part of her dad's regime anymore. She is done with him, and she's trying to disguise herself so no one realizes that she is the princess. And she finds herself butting heads with the rebellion commander, and they just have so much tension going on between them. It is very fun. This is kind of low stakes, so you don't have to understand the whole fantasy world because there's not much world building in here. It's more so character driven, and I don't mind a character driven fantasy romance if there is at least still some type of fantasy setting, and there definitely is in here. So giving it an honorable mention here. Ooh, hello, lots of stickers in this one. The Dread Descendant by Lauren Kate Leake. I absolutely devoured the first two books. I'm gonna name some bigger series names because it's like if Throne of Glass had a baby with Harry Potter. Truly, this is like Harry Potter fan fiction. So really, the author did take inspiration from Anakin Skywalker and Tom Riddle for this book. So we are kind of thrown into the setting of a Harry Potter realm. However, it is its own fantasy setting in itself as well. It does read very fan fiction for a lot of people. I have not read fan fiction, but I could see how this would be fan fiction. It's so good. I need to read the third book. The third is the last one. I am so scared for it to end. So scared. And this is gut-wrenching. If you've watched Harry Potter or read the books, I think that this will be easy to follow. So honorable mention on fantasy romance. Now, sports romance, I have The Bad Boy Rule by Maren Moore. Maren Moore writes a lot of romance novels. She also has some really cute holiday romance books, which is actually how I found her. She has this Strawberry Hollow series. I even made a dedicated video to this holiday romance series. Anyways, this is sports romance. She is this innocent, cutesy girl who has this very rich family that wants her to marry this guy, and he has cheated on her, and she's like, no way, I do not want to be with him. Stop trying to get me to get back with him. And to rebel, this is how like strict her parents are. To rebel, she's starting to pick back up ice skating. Okay. And she is going to the rink, and she ends up at the rink at the same time as this hockey player. And this hockey player is just bullying her so hard. And she gets so mad. It's just like the banter and the tension between them, because he can clearly see that she is some naive little girl, and she's not little, but naive girl, and he has a lot of anger in him. He is grumpy for sure. Anyways, this ends up being a really cute book. It's a short read. I think that this would be a fun introduction into ice skating and hockey romance. That book also has a lot of spice. For some LGBTQ recommendations, I have One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, and she actually has written Red, White, and Royal Blue, which is also a movie now. I personally did not care for Red, White, and Royal Blue, but I loved this because it has some paranormal aspects to it. Again, I tend to favor anything that has fantasy or paranormal stuff into it, so I preferred this. And it was, so this girl named August, she is riding a subway in New York City, and she meets this other girl on there, and she just develops a crush for her. They have a lot of good fun conversations, and turns out that her crush is from the 1970s. Okay, and are you intrigued? Are you confused? I was confused and intrigued all at once. I devoured this. This was so much fun and just really heartwarming and cute. I don't remember if there was any spice in this, to be honest. I really don't. I'm gonna go with yes, considering how Red, White, and Royal Blue was. This one is a young adult romance novel, but this is Fake Dates and Mooncakes by Shirley. I bought this for the corgi. I bought it for the corgi, and I read it for the corgi. This was just so cute, and there's a lot of different man, I also recently read a YA romance novel that was really cute as well. I have to think of that. Okay, I'm just gonna read a little clip of this because this is very similar to what the other novel I'm thinking of, and I don't want to get them confused, so I'd rather just read it straight up. Okay. Enter Theo Somers. Enter Theo Somers, charming, wealthy, with a smile that makes Dylan's stomach do backflips. When Theo makes a sizable donation to Walk Warriors, Dylan reluctantly agrees to be Theo's fake date at a family wedding in the Hamptons to return the favor. In Theo's glittering world of crazy rich drama, their romance is supposed to be for show, but Dylan finds himself falling for Theo for real. It's a cutesy novel. It's cutesy and very short. Historical romance. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and this is by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I would also like to eventually maybe get a rebind of Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was the first book I ever read that had bi representation, and I fell hard for how much I love this book. I was crying my eyes out. So Taylor Jenkins Reid writes historical, so it's a lot expect to be taken back in time. So if I remember right, this is also based off Elizabeth Taylor, or it's some celebrity. She kind of gets inspo from celebrities, if I remember right. Evelyn Hugo is a Hispanic icon who ends up having to whitewash herself to fit in with Hollywood. And she was very young when she had to do this, and we see the hoops and hurdle that women had to go through back in the days, and I'm sure still to today, to get to a certain level of stardom. Going blind after that. Going blind. It is so good. I have 2 more recommendations. Before I give these recommendations, I was going to throw in some alien romance, but if you're just starting out, I don't know if you want to start out with alien monster romance. We're doing introductions here. We're doing like little stepping stones into the genres. I will not give you that just yet. A very popular genre is dark romance, and I think that's really up to you to how dark do you want to go. Test the waters with whatever you read. Check the trigger warnings, because there are times where I find myself being like, oh yeah, maybe not that for me, not that. And it also depends on the day. Sometimes I can do one type of trigger, and then other times I'm like, nope, can't do it today. Anyways, a very popular theme within dark romance is stalking. People like the stalker trope, and this book is a very good segue into dark romance. This is Shadowed Obsession by Evelyn Leigh. It's a dark rom-com, so you're still getting some comedy in there, and I think that that will kind of help soften the, entering into dark romance. But he stalks her, and this is also a little bit of a mafia romance too. So the main female character's name is DJ, and she is a corporate baddie, but the corporate world is is kind of an umbrella under her dad's mafia-ness, and then we have Cesar, that is a hitman, I would say. He is like a PI for another mafia family, and he's getting this intel on DJ, and he stalks her hardcore, and I think he fell in love. You'll have to, read about it. It's really good. And it's last but not least is one of my favorite genres to read. When I am trying to get out of a slump, I go to monster romance or I go to cowboy romance. And I have found that I absolutely love Western romance. So Holding the Reins by Paisley Hope. This is by far my favorite cowboy romance series. I have read the first book in the Chestnut Spring series, did not care for it. I have read all of the Blue Rebel Ranch series by Lila Sage. They're good. Nothing holds to Holding the Reins. And I have read a few other books in the series, but I haven't completed it. But by far better writing, in my opinion. I like the storylines more. So that's why I'm recommending Holding the Reins. Once again, I will read off the back of this because I think that sometimes they start to flow together. But a woman returns to her family's ranch after a broken engagement and finds herself falling for her brother's best friend. Another trope that a lot of people like is the brother's best friend. One thing I really liked about this one is that Cece is also a career-driven woman, and I love being able to see career-driven women in books. I know that's not a whole lot to go off of, but this is honestly one of my favorite series. I would always recommend. Always. Alright, I feel like I gave you a lot of books and a whole lot of nothing all at the same time. It's a lot to remember off the top of my head, and I did try and read some of the book synopsis to, jog my memory. Maybe next time I can come up with a script, like an actual YouTuber. I don't know. happy love month, and I hope that you found some romance novels that you would like to read. If you have any recommendations for me that you think I'd like based off this, let me know, because I'm always open to so many different recommendations. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!